I learned I was a magician the day I tried to light a candle and accidentally invented the second sun over my kitchen sink. It didn't burn the house down. Instead, it rewrote gravity. The ceiling started to float above us like a thoughtful cloud. My mother, seeing this, just applauded. I think applause felt safer than screaming when the laws of physics politely resigned. You see, every spell I cast stayed forever, like ink that refused erasers, time, and regret. I tried to stop, I really did, but magic just leaked from me the way heat leaks from a star. Blinking bent light, sighing changed the weather, and sleeping bent the shape of tomorrow. When I walked, streets remembered me, curving themselves into gentler stories to follow my steps. If I stumbled, entire cities would rearrange their bones to cushion my fall. The first rule I learned was that accidents are just intentions that arrive early. The second rule, reality never forgives spelling mistakes. A single sneeze once turned a bus stop into a dense forest that still waits for commuters but will never arrive. A bad joke I told cracked a mountain into a fit of laughter that echoed for weeks. A single tear fell from my eye and taught the river how to grieve upstream, its current flowing backward in sorrow. People started calling me Miracle, then Menace, and eventually Map, because I had redrawn everything and everyone. Governments sent me official letters with very careful fonts, asking me to please stop existing so loudly. Scientists would ask for permission before trying to measure me, which I usually denied by turning their rulers into timelines. Religions argued over whether I was proof of their faith or just a cosmic punctuation mark. But children, they like me best. Children forgive chaos much faster than adults can forgive hope. I tried everything to contain it. Gloves, cages, vows of silence, keeping my distance. But magic doesn't respect boundaries that are drawn by fear. I even tried learning every spell to cancel other spells, but I quickly realized that cancellation is also a form of change. I learned that stillness is the loudest magic of all. When I held my breath, the entire world leaned in to listen. When I finally exhaled, continents would shift their weight like tired animals stirring from a nap. So, I moved to the edge of the known world, to the blank spaces on maps where mistakes might have room to apologize. Of course, the edge didn't exist after I got there, because arrival is its own kind of declaration. I built a house from apologies and I named it Tomorrow. Tomorrow had no doors, because doors imply that you might want to leave. I practiced thinking in straight lines, hoping the oceans would stop learning curves from my thoughts. I practiced kindness because I knew cruelty travels much faster when it has real power behind it. One morning, I woke to find an entire city kneeling outside my window. They asked me to fix their past, a request wrapped in broken glass and regret. I said no, and that single word, no, became a solid wall, separating what was before from everything that came after. They thanked me for it by building schools inside that wall. That's when I discovered that refusal can be a profound form of mercy. Another morning, a dictator arrived, wearing borrowed courage like a cheap suit. He demanded I make his enemies disappear. Instead, I made his certainty disappear. It spread through his ranks like a quiet, creeping epidemic of doubt. He left a much smaller man than he arrived, which was the only safe size for him. Every single day, the world tried to use me as a shortcut. Every single night, I tried to sleep without rewriting the dawn. My dreams were the worst, because dreams spell with symbols instead of letters. I dreamed of fire and invented warmth without burning. I dreamed of loss and invented endings that taught beginnings how to bow gracefully. I dreamed of love, and I invented patience. That one terrified everyone. Then I met a woman who sold maps of places that no longer existed. She had a smile that looked like she had personally forgiven geography for all its tricks. She asked me to sit with her, and she promised not to ask for a single miracle. The moment I sat, the chair became a philosophy on stillness. We just talked about the weather, because weather is always honest. When she laughed, my very pulse learned restraint. She taught me that consent is a spell far stronger than any command. So, I learned to ask the world before I changed it. And sometimes, the world said no, and I learned to listen. Sometimes, it said yes, and I learned to wait. Patience slowed the magic down just enough to make it legible, readable. And legibility saved lives that speed would have carelessly erased. I practiced walking without leaving footprints by apologizing to the ground with each step. The ground forgave me by choosing to remember others instead. I stopped fixing everything and started tending to what broke on its own. A bridge collapsed, and I didn't rebuild it instantly. I just sat with the river until it decided where the crossing should happen. And in that time, people learned to gather, to plan, to argue kindly. Community began to grow where miracles used to be. I realized I was stealing their lessons by solving their outcomes. So I began leaving problems intact so that wisdom could have a chance to finish them. When a plague came, shaped like a vicious rumor, they begged me to erase it. Instead, I taught the doctors how to listen harder to their patients. I taught the nurses how to rest without guilt. I taught the leaders how to admit their own ignorance. The plague eventually retreated, embarrassed by such quiet competence. Someone called me weak for not just snapping my fingers, so I snapped my fingers and erased the word weak from their mouth. Silence taught them far faster than spectacle ever could. I learned that power should always arrive last, not first. The woman with the maps asked me to walk with her. We walked, and the path refused to perform. It just stayed a path, and that, right there, felt like a victory. I told her my greatest fear was permanence. She told me permanence is just time that has learned loyalty. I told her I could never turn my magic off. She smiled and said, off is a direction, not a switch. So we chose a direction. We chose north, and the stars politely negotiated a new path for us. I built a school where mistakes were the curriculum. Students practiced understanding consequences before they ever considered causes. They learned to name what they truly wanted before ever reaching out to touch it. I taught them that intention is a responsibility, not just a wish. A boy asked me if I was a god. I said no, because gods get to stop. A girl asked if I was a monster. I said no, because monsters refuse to learn. They asked me what I was then, and I said, I am accountable. One night, the sky itself cracked from too many edits. Reality trembled like a book with too many bookmarks. The world asked me to choose what stays. I chose stories over structures. I chose people over plans. I chose repair over perfection. One chose limits, and the choice held. The cracks in the sky sealed into windows, and through them, we watched ourselves, finally, becoming careful. I finally understood. Magic off isn't absence. Magic off is restraint wearing love's clothes. I can't stop changing the world, but I can stop pretending I'm the only one who's allowed to. Thank you for listening.